Is social media marketing dying? And why are so many businesses struggling to be visible on certain social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and some other platforms? My name is Eileen Burns. I'm a coach healer and a spiritual business strategist. And one of the biggest things you know, that I've always talked about in relation to social media is for businesses not to rely solely on social media for their marketing, and particularly not rely on one social media platform, and even one that maybe, if it's more than one, that actually belongs to the same company or organization. Now, one of the things that a lot of businesses are reporting, and I've seen this increasing over the months, is where they're feeling as if their posts are just not getting seen by almost anyone, or very few of their audience. And even people that have got tens of thousands of viewers. And even one example that I was approached recently by a company, and it's a top brand, and this person who's a personal development, what you would call a personal development guru, but their actual company or the brand itself has millions of viewers. But their posts were getting very little engagement in relation to the amount of people that follow their page. And this just is an example of some of the things that are going on in social media. Now, there can be a lot of reasons why sometimes in social media we don't get engagement. And sometimes when we're not being visible and getting in front of our ideal audience or the right audience. Some of us, like myself, have had a lot of problems with censorship and shadow banning and things like that. So I've had a huge hit over the last few years. But one of the things that I've always done in my business, and I'm so glad I have, is I have another effective business strategy and marketing strategy. And I'm going to talk a bit about that at the moment. But I'll go into that in a minute. But one of the things that we are seeing is that we're seeing this rapid decline in many people just not getting engagement in their groups or their social media. And as I said, what they're seeing is their social media feed or their posts are not getting served to a big enough audience for it to convert into clients or an audience. And people that have mass followings, their posts are just not getting fed. Now, one of the things you've got to understand is it's always important to understand what social media platforms are actually on the surface designed for. They're supposed to be social, and they're supposed to be there for people to socially interact and engage with people. Now, one of the biggest challenges that we have is the digital industry, for example, online industry has rapidly increased over the last 20 years, and even more so in the last 10, and even more so the last 5 years. What we saw even through COVID was a lot of people coming into businesses. They had this opportunity of downtime and maybe things that they weren't really happy in their job, just decided to then, I'm going to try having a go at an online job. I've also seen a dramatic increase, for many years in the holistic and spiritual field. If you look at the majority of women that go in particularly into these fields, and it's not always just about purpose. People just see it as a convenient way to make money or an easier way to make money. So sometimes they want to care and support people, but they just choose that because that seems to be an easy option. So even though I do not believe in competition, I believe that we're all individual and we're unique gifts, there is a saturation in the market on some level, because there's lots of people that just enter these jobs thinking that they do it for just to make money. And the reality is, no matter how good you're at something, if it's a noisy marketplace, you have to be able to stand out. And if you think about a physical marketplace, if you think, I remember as a child going to a local market And it was always so busy. There would be certain stalls that would be really busy, but they were well known and people, they'd built up trust and connection. But sometimes just trying to get through that market and trying to see what the stallers had when it was so busy was very, very difficult because it was so busy. And there may be a lot of market, there may be a lot of different things on offer. But sometimes it looked the same and sometimes it was kind of the same. So people were selling similar products and there'd be all different price points. And, there's all sorts of reasons why people buy from, certain people and will not buy for others. And we do know, obviously, as a spiritual business owner, that energetic resonance is really, really important. Intention and motives is really, really important. But also, sometimes we can get stuck in the feminine. We look at intuition, creativity, and we look at all these things and flow from, if you're a holistic or spiritual business owner, but also structure and order is really, really important as well, the masculine aspect in a business. And one of the things that I often see is a lot of the healers and therapists I work with are very reluctant to put strategy into their business and to have that masculine aspect. They just want to do things a certain way. And what they don't realise is they're in resistance of a lot of things that actually help create that stable foundation. Now, when you rely on something like social media platforms where a third party owns that platform, you are basically reliant on someone else or something else to make a business work. And of course, we all are in a business, there is an element you have to have different things to make it work. But you are becoming reliant on that one thing. Now, I do have my own thoughts on a lot of things about digital marketing and why there's been a push towards getting people to move away from all sorts of industry and just become service industry, which I really think is part of a power structure, and it's other reasons why it pushes people towards certain things that can cause all sorts of ripple effect, not always healthy, in the foundation of society, right? But no matter what, the reality is that if you rely on these type of platforms and don't have other ways of reaching your audience, or don't have a business model actually works easily and healthily, you have a problem. Now, for a variety of reasons, I always had an online component just because I had a lot of health challenges and some disabilities when I first started my business. And then I had different things happen to me along the way. I was just unfortunate, even though I had recovered from some things, I had injury and other things happen to me. And I was a trainer for many years, but I still had an online component. And then I had to give up my training outside in the physical world and had to do my business online. Now, I can honestly say, if I wasn't in the circumstances I am, I would, and even though I'm moving, trying to move out that situation, I would still have a physical component to my business. And I do, have said this a lot to healers and therapists and coaches. I think people shouldn't become reliant on the online world for so many reasons. So that's one thing. But the reason that I always have market elsewhere, not just in social media platforms, is because of this main reason. I've had an online business now for nearly 25 years. I've seen things come and go because I come from a family business background. And I've always came from this energy. I know it's not always easy. It can be hard. There can be a lot of challenges. And I think what's one of the realities was when I started my business, and also, from a, family business background, know that you don't always get things for free. When I think one of the biggest things, the biggest trap many online businesses have fell in, particularly small businesses, is they've got this trap that marketing should always be free and almost all these things should be free. So they continue to waste their time and energy on strategies just because they're free. And actually, in the long run, it costs them more time and energy, and they don't really have a long-term plan in their business or a long-term way to get leads and content. Now, sometimes we can even also take our eye off the ball And that's another thing. There's a few things that I've been doing recently. I've been so focused on one area. I was leaving other things that should have been getting attended to. And sometimes that happens in business. But one of the things I would think is really, really important is always to have other strategies where you're getting your leads in and you're getting your things. And it's one of the reasons why I always focus on search marketing. And what do I mean by that? It is, so search marketing is when someone is looking for you rather than just coming across you. Like, so if you think about social media feeds, yes, sometimes people do look in Facebook and social, they're actually looking for a certain service or whatever. But a lot of people in social media only like kind of come across your feeds in your platform because they come across it. Maybe someone else tags them in, or someone else they know is engaging your post, and for some reason they see that. And sometimes that's getting harder and harder. But it's like almost there's feeds getting fed and there's a lot of information. But the problem with social media is most social media is just feeds of distraction. That's what it is. It's feeds of information. But if people use things like Google or Bing or all these search engine type things, when people go actually looking, for example, if they're looking for a plumber, they're looking for a counselor, they're looking for a yoga teacher, they're looking for this, and they look up Google and they find you. That is what we call search marketing, because someone is searching and specifically looking for you. When someone is specifically looking for you, you've got a higher conversion into a sale right away than just a lead, because they are actually seeking out your services. It's not like product they just see, oh, that looks as if that solves the problem I have, or oh, I'm quite interested in that. That's completely different. And the problem is in social media, people are bombarded daily, which with so much information load, people are sick and tired of it. I see so many people I know, for example, sick and tired saying they're sick and tired seeing coaches, and they're making jokes about it because, like, one of the things that I see, it's like everyone in your granny is now a coach, right? Now, I'm a qualified coach, and even though my main business is called Stress Coach Training, actually, I'm a teacher, I'm a trainer. I've been a coach for many years. I started studying coaching about 20 years ago, and then I think when that would be, I don't know if it was about 15 years ago, then I'd done another type of coaching qualification, and that's when I really focused on my stress management coaching. But one of the things that we see today is that people are on social media and they're tired of seeing just adverts and just people selling their wares, and also not there's different schools of thought. I see some marketers and say, that people are not selling enough, they're selling too much information, and they're giving away too many freebies and things like that. And it is getting the balance, but also, I know my audience hate just being sold to. They just don't, it doesn't resonate with them. They like to know that the person behind the business genuinely is in it for the right reasons, because a lot of them have had a lot of money invested in a lot of money in people and coaches and other people that have not, that have maybe missold them or just promised them the world. Or as one coach, she's also a healer, said to me recently, Eileen, you don't blow smoke up my. So I'm quite truthful. I try and be compassionate, but I find it hard and really upsetting when people are told so much untruth, or people their egos erupt in a way that's not going to help their business, it's not going to help them. It's not a healthy way to work in life. Even though I'm a bit of a softie, I've learned more and more in life that truth is really, really important, and that we can't hide away from truth. And we're in a part of an era and a part of society at the moment where truth is being unveiled all the time, and people's illusions about so many things have been shattered. And that reality teaches us how much sometimes, I see this, be kind or be truthful, it's important to be kind first. Now, of course, we have to try and be kind in that truthfulness, but it's not always, truthfulness is not always soft. And the right truth is actually someone who does deeply care about you because they want what's best for you. And I think one of the things that we've got now is there's a lot of people have just no integrity and they will just say things just to keep getting an audience because it's about, for example, one of the things that you learn as a therapist, particularly if you're doing the counselling and like psychology, that type of route and things, you learn that your role is not always to be liked. Of course, someone has to trust you. But, if someone likes everything that I say and thinks, oh, you're a great person, am I serving my clients the best way? I remember I was in a really difficult situation one time when I worked in a counselling organisation and I was dealing with a client that many other people in the organisation had dealt with, and it was quite a complex situation. And I remember I didn't have to say anything. I came in after a session with the person, and my supervisor, my boss kind of thing, said to me a few things and says, remember, Eileen, you're not here to be liked. And, don't enable or create codependency or get into this thing that just because they don't like truth, they don't like what they say, because that's your trap. And it's so true. And one of the things we've got to understand about business is that someone has helped me in business. If they can't tell the truth about some of the things that are going on, that keeps you in self-sabotage. So there's lots of things that I think at the moment we really need to relook at how we're doing business. And one of the big things that I see a lot is this, is this thing that people think marketing should be free. But they don't, so they expect their marketing to be free, but they think that their products or services shouldn't be free. And I'll give you an example. I've got a friend who is a business coach. We've been friends for a long time. And she's like me, she gets often a lot of people always asking her for free advice. But what people forget is that it's her time, her expertise, all the years that she's invested in that area and knowledge. And often that can be 10 times what a normal healer or coach would invest or spend. But people have this expectation that that should be free. And this is where exchange of value, sometimes we are distorted in our perception. And, in marketing, for example, if you invest 10 or 20 pound and you earn £100 out that is a good investment. That's what business is often putting an investment into something which can be, in a service related business, can be money and time, right? And an energy exchange, and then you put it back. So for example, you're on a holistic business service and you have a clinic. So the money that goes into setting that clinic up, the money that goes into advertising that, the energy exchange of what you're doing for that client, you get a recuperation. Now, if you advertise and you advertise in the right places, then you're going to keep getting the clients in. But if you spend all your time and you refuse to invest in market and you just do everything for free, you can sit for months with absolutely no clients or very few clients, and your resistance in that you're not want to spend and you're not want to invest can stop you. Now, I do understand that everybody's in a different circumstance, and we have to get that balance right. But it is important to always look at, sometimes one of the problems with social media marketing is people get so used to this free marketing, it's a sense of entitlement that you think that you should get it for free. And there's a lot of frustration and anger of people not being able to reach their audience in social media, but they're not paying for it. So it is a sense of entitlement. It's like, well, as if someone else's platform should be doing that when no one owes us nothing. That's, if when we understand that and we're grateful for anything we've ever got free. And I think we've got to look at that kind of energy. But I do think that social media there's things happening here that means that a lot of people are going to have to look at different ways of doing business. Because particularly as a lot of us in the holistic wellness and spiritual community, there's a lot more censorship. Now, for example, there's some countries that they're so censored that people don't even realise they've been censored. The last, what, I don't know how many years, we just have to look at things like Canada and how many people are so unaware of what's going on in the Western world because they live in those areas and they live in a wee bubble. And that is happening in the UK as well. It's happening in other countries. And we're seeing more and more holistic businesses and guidelines coming in where people are not going to be allowed to talk about certain subjects. Now, of course, we have to stand up for that and try and stop that, control that power grab happening. But we also have to be smart and clever and find other ways to build a business. And that is why I always use blogging. And as I said, this search marketing strategy, because when you create blogs and you create high quality, not just any blogs, right? And the key is even one high quality blog could be more how could you say, more worth your time and energy than how many social media posts? It could be 10, 20, even 100. If you have a high quality post that converts for years and converts into leads, once you've created that high quality post, you've got that forever if you create it as an evergreen blog. And the great thing with blogs, you can go in and edit them and you can send people to it. People, if it's a really good quality blog, you'll often get people actually linking to your blog. I have loads of blogs where other businesses actually put a link to my blog because it's so high quality or so informative, right? Now, so you putting the time into that is going to then be worth in the future, not just then, but it's future. And it's also a way for people to find you. Now, there's things you have to do with blogging. Blogging is just like anything. It's not a quick fix. And we see a lot of people who just want quick fix. And one of the things that I'm seeing at the moment is all shoddy foundations in a business are being kind of challenged at the moment. So things in your business that are energetically shoddy, which are not aligned, things that are built on no ethics or integrity, things where you're just expecting people to find you, but you're not actually having a proper strategy, right? So you're not consciously putting out the right energy again in your business, because if you just put something out and just expect with a sense of entitlement, there's a difference with an energy of expectation that is wondering and like you're open to receiving. But there's a difference when you just put it up just to put something up and you don't do it with the right intention. So all of these things are happening. But we're also seeing so many shifts in the collective and society of people being sick and tired of a lot of things. They're just sick and tired of being manipulated by lots of marketing. They're sick and tired of overhype. They're sick of tired of seeing the same type of posts over and over again. They're sick of an illusion. They're also having far more discernment about what they need to do. And more people are recognising that they're the one that they have to figure a lot more things out themselves. They can't rely on someone else. So as people are waking up, they're making different choices. So it's really, so that involves understanding, is your business in alignment? Is your audience still in alignment? Are you in alignment? But social media, I do believe that they might tweak some things because there's a lot of algorithm changes, and they might do some things to try and keep some people on board because they do need their advertisers. And I know personally, there's some social media platforms I have paid for advertising, others for the last 5-6 years I've refused to for lots of ethical reasons. And I try and support small businesses or small platforms, so small software, people who are clearly trying to be alternative channels. And one of the things that, sometimes when I mention this to people, they say, but they're not got a big enough platform, I'm not giving them the energy. And I just think that's not a very, where is that coming from? We should be supporting all of these businesses that are trying to create change as much as we can. Of course, we can't do it all. But what I would suggest to you is that, you all start looking at more search marketing. And even if it's just once a month or once a week, you create a high quality blog, right? And you go and seek out some alternative social media platforms. And even if they do have a lower reach, even putting an odd post up, getting engaged, start to connect with people, starting to build up a connection, you are starting to create another networking effect. But one of the problems is if you're all just about me, which unfortunately I do see sometimes. I have some people that, will share my stuff, but it's very few. And I, for many, many years, I did everything I possibly could to support, even, people in my free audience and try and share a lot of their posts, particularly if they were aligned, so you've got to share things that align with your core values and your message so you don't confuse your audience. But one of the things that I noticed, it was very rarely other people would support me. They expected me to support them. And this is where we are at an energetic frequency. When we are in that root chakra, it's just about me, or only doing it because if you do it, you think, oh, they're going to do it in return. That is not coming from an open-hearted energy. So we have to look at all that. But in relation to social media, I think a lot of people get so reliant, and the ones I'm talking about, because if you're watching this video, you're suffering from this challenge yourself. That's why it's important to advertise in things like directories. Support these small directories, because many of these small directories, they are many of them are spending a lot of thousands of pounds, and sometimes even more than it can be into tens of thousands of pounds, trying to set these platforms up, trying to advertise them. Now, I've also been reached by, recently was someone asked me who's got a magazine, and asked me about their reach, and how do they. Now, the reality of the problem is that people have like magazines. It's just like an online magazine or a printed magazine or like a newspaper type thing. Readership has to be the most important. So, for example, if you're trying to get advertisers, right, because this is one of the things that comes up with magazines as well, what pays for that magazine? It's the advertisers. But it's not worth the advertisers paying for advertising unless they know that you have a big enough reach that they're definitely going to get their money back on that advert. Now, if you look at, it depends on what industry, right? But sometimes some of the types of clients that I work in the industry can be really small conversions in a magazine advertisement. So it might be only 1% conversion or 2 or 3% conversion. So that means that, say they were looking to get 10 sales, right? And say it was a 1% just for talking sake conversion, that magazine would have to be 1,000 people, 1,000 readers that was their ideal audience. And, for example, if you advertise in a spiritual magazine, you might think, well, that audience is going out to so many thousand spiritual people. But those are just spiritual people. That doesn't mean that they're going to be your ideal audience. Within that, you will have a specific niche within that huge audience. So the thing about when you are promoting a magazine is you need to find ways to get your readership out, to reach the masses. And unfortunately, that can mean that you need to pay for paid advertising, or find ways that people are going to, your first few, maybe so many months of, if you've not got a budget or you've got a very low budget, is actually offering maybe free advertising for clinics and things that have got big reach, or places or events, or if you think about exhibitions and things like that, it's thinking smart how you can reach the masses. But an online magazine, for example, a lot of them are struggling to again reach, because there is a bit of a saturation in some things. So it's finding, you have to know specifically. People just say they're spiritual people to me. That means nothing. You You know, that is too big a niche. Spirituality means many things to many people. And you need to know what kind of audience are going to be specifically interested in your magazine. And also, it's time now. People actually, time is one of their kind of least commodity. And what I mean is, it's not least commodity, but it's most valuable commodity, because people feel as if they don't have time. So you have to know who's going to, you know, who's going to have the time to read that, who's going to really want to read it, and that's the key thing. You know, these are all important things to think about, but your reach can, if you're a physical magazine, obviously you have to get out to the places that your magazine is going to be able to be read. Now, leaving it in maybe libraries and, as I said, places where there's a lot of people come and go is one way to reach that, right? But it's not always easy. So again, promoting your magazine through content marketing, search marketing. But again, you still need a strategy. You still need a strategy for, you know, as you even in blogs, there is a strategy, and that is why I created my blogging course for holistic and spiritual businesses, because it gives you all these different tips and things to consider when you're creating a blog, writing a blog, even your headlines, how you're laying out your blog, what you should include in your blog. Because, for example, I get asked a lot, I get asked every single week by somebody if they can actually write content for my blogs, and they make out they're doing me a favour. Most of them are not doing me a favour, because often they're content writers, or they're even health and wellness or spiritual bloggers, but their quality of blogging is not really good, or I've got to take their blog and make it a relevant quality to be up to certain. And I don't need to do with the writing, that they're good writers. It's not to do with that. It's to do with being and related to a blog that's going to be efficient on my site. So sometimes then I have to spend too much time. So, you know, I'm doing them a huge favour and they don't realise that. Now, this is where it's really, really important. When you understand the structure, it's easy. And when you understand what's going to help a blog go viral or what's going to help attract more audience through that blog, it makes a big, big difference. So if it's an area that you are looking for help, check out, I'll put the link below for my blogging course. But just remember, do not rely on social media for all your marketing. It's not a good idea. So it's just important to remember to think about this. You have to think, is social media dying, or is it just the way that it's is it also been a trap for people to get caught in, you know, one way of doing business and whatever? And that is why I would say you don't rely on, you know, one or two social media platforms. Don't rely totally on social media. And if you can, also have a physical business or another type of business that doesn't rely on all these things. Okay, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. And make sure you check out the blogging course, because it's packed with lots of tips, tricks, and even tools that you can use to grow your business through blogging effectively. Bye-bye for now.